Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Guys, we're looking at Zilliqa today, ZIL, ZIL on the exchange. This is one of my favourite projects. Been investing for some time now, very much around that sort of 1 to 2 cent mark, way back. We've had a very nice ride upwards earlier in 2021, but recently we've of course had a bit of a come down. We'll look at that in the chart in a moment's time. But I want to talk about project-led information first. So when people look at projects, sometimes they think it's a scam or they think that it's dead. That is not the case with Zilliqa. I'm a long-term holder of this incredible project and the ecosystem continues to grow. We cover Zilliqa as often as we can. In the last video, I think we touched a bit on the XCAD aspect and of course the really huge news about the Metropolis as well, a few videos back in December. Of course, this is a development of their metaverse world. I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Of course, there's loads of concept visuals going out at the moment. It's not fully finished, but from what I hear and see from the community and from their very fresh marketing team, it looks like they're building a roadmap for that very soon as well. So keep an eye out on all Zilliqa's movements as we go by, and do keep an eye on Sandra here, Sandra underscore Tilby, I believe it is. She's very active on Twitter, on social media, very active in the sense of information flow as well, but obviously not giving away too much detail. But it's really fascinating that going on. We've of course got aspects here, for example ZRC-6. This ties in very nicely with the marketplace coming on Zilliqa's platform very soon as well. This was announced back in mid-December, but even now still you can have an opportunity to get involved with trying to name the Zilliqa's curated art marketplace. So that's really cool to look out for, and you can still do that yourselves. But in conjunction with that, we have just recently had the announcement from Zilliqa about ZR-6 as well. So this is very much around the standardization from their part in terms of being able to create, mint and share NFTs. So very much in the background, they've been working on developing their code, developing the aspect of the ecosystem to make sure that it's very sufficient. And for those that are developing or creating NFTs, very much can be able to check that out on GitHub. And I'm adamant of it, that many amazing projects out there will want to be using Zilliqa purely for its efficiency, the very low cost mechanisms and things like that, and just being an absolute powerhouse of a blockchain and protocol system moving forward. And very much particularly as well with their huge development and excitement around the metaverse conversations, the Metropolis that we talked about, but they're very much heavily involved now in the metadata, meta transactions, etc. as well. This is very much behind the mechanism of the token standardizations, but I'm sure that will link with the metaverse as well. By the way, these aren't related to metaverse. This is talking about coding structures, but very interesting to see that interlacing aspect of the NFT side of it and the metaverse that they're building as well. So this may be where I remember watching a video of a YouTuber a while back, and I've been accumulating ZIL for some time. I know it's stopped now on most of the staking wallets and things, but I did wonder, ZIL did have a really big up run, I think last year. I remember it going to like $500 or $600 or something stupid. But I do wonder if now this sort of Metropolis and other things that are going on, whether ZIL will finally have its place to really kick into gear for the power of Zilliqa. Because I'm like I said, I'm adamant that many users are going to use this platform, especially in the NFT and the meta side of things. So it's really interesting to keep an eye on. And also one of the last points I want to make as well is this ZilHive. So it goes live in 11 days, and it's actually like a really cool setup from Zilliqa. So they've created a new social media handle called ZilHive, And this is very much going to be demonstrating on this particular day on January 20th some really cool upcoming ecosystem projects. So we might have some fluctuation in price around that time, or certainly for the projects themselves built on Zilliqa. But for me, of course, when you're an investor and you're researching, it's always great to look at the kind of projects like we talk about XCAD, for example, Xcademy, to understand who's behind the powering of these kind of projects. So there's two really good avenues you can go down when you're investing. So for me personally, holding XCAD now as well, but more importantly Zilliqa in the background, because I just feel as well from the research and from the development perspectives that Zilliqa has a really solid future, and I am a long-term holder. I've mentioned that many times in videos. Of course, if there's some really powerful price moves this year, I would of course take some advantages, but right now I'm very much accumulating Zilliqa in the low points, putting it into my ZIL wallet, and staking it. That's simply what I am doing, and I'm happy to do that for a couple of years, because I think in maybe four years or so, 3 years, this could be an absolute mega powerhouse in my opinion. Let us know what you think about that in the comments below. Are you a long-term holder of ZIL, short-term? Are you playing the markets? What are you doing, and what are you most excited about, whether it be existing ecosystem projects or ones coming in the future? Really interested to know what your thoughts are on that. So loads of stuff going on, but do keep an eye out for this demo day. I'm really excited. So it looks like 11:30 a.m. GMT, that is here, you're at UTC at the moment, so just bear in mind that for your own time zones out there of what time that might be where you are. So I'm really positive about Zilliqa. There's obviously been a lot of talk over the last few months, people getting really frustrated in Twitter and stuff, and I even commented on a couple of people. I don't usually do it, but sometimes, and it's very easy on social media to get wound up, but some people are like, yeah, no one cares about the project, Zilliqa team, we need to sort the price out. And I was sort of sat there going, sorry, what do you want Zilliqa to do about this? Like, what do you want? But it actually baffles me that people out there, like, the marketing team is building, the projects are coming in left, right, and center. The price moves come from investors. Okay, so that's not something, Zilliqa can have some element of not necessarily control, but aspect of fruition in price moves because of the announcements that they do and the progress, etc. But that's you as an investor that would go, all right, I'm going to buy now. But it's gone quiet because we've had a big correctional period for a number of months now, really, after this humongous move in 2021. And I imagine if we repeated that this year, because we were at lower points back here, and that's where I was buying most of mine, sort of 1.5, 2 cents. Imagine that, and we're already up here. Imagine if we had another run like that. You probably see where we were talking about previously, or maybe seeing, some people were talking about Zilliqa being $1. I'm not sure about that, but I certainly think that it's definitely achievable to try and get towards 50 cents. And I think if we're coming from these areas with a similar projected move, I mean, what was this? I mean, like I said, I'm not saying we're going to repeat this exact move that we saw last year, but if we took those kind of like bottom areas, I'm just going to be fair here and just say 2 cents, for example, back up to there. I mean, it's phenomenal, 1,200%. And if we're going to repeat that up here, we could see something quite similar up towards that 30, 35 cent mark, but with the traction of, market penetration and whatnot, I think, it's possible to do that. But, back to the short-term aspect, I'm sort of sitting there going, why are people getting angry with the actual project itself? I'm like, they're not going to sit there every day and go, oh yeah, you're right, mate, let's bump the price up for somehow. Like, it's crazy talk. So for me, I'm long-term holding, but certainly from an investment perspective of where to buy in, where to think about that. Obviously, I can't really advise you. I can only really go on my thoughts and opinions and my research that I do and my personal moves. So where are we right now? Well, there's a couple of really interesting indicators I want to point out here. Okay, it's quite easy for me to determine this at the moment as well, because I've missed the last few days, unfortunately. Loads of work going on and stuff like that. So I've got around to doing this video. If I'd done it a couple of days ago, I probably would have mentioned this area anyway, but we're kind of already pretty much there now, as you can see. But before we go into that, in more detail, let's just reflect on history. So if we went back a year ago, floating around very much where we are right now, obviously a lot of traction around this area, we then took off. Multitude of things happening with Zilliqa announcements and general market trend, everything was going mental. We've had the big correction all the way to this famous sort of July mark. This is an extremely repetitive pattern across a multitude of charts. If you don't believe me, go and check for yourselves. Pretty much all assets have this V shape here around 20th of July. Some even have it around 20th of June. It's very easy to identify. I didn't even need to look at these dates down here. I knew immediately where this was. It's almost like when you look at the stars, you know exactly what constellation it is, because you see it so often. So we've had that. So we had these areas here. We had a drop down here which was rejected, came back up, but we obviously came back over time. But again, as I said, we're now dripping down to these interesting areas. We haven't quite done, other than this day here where we had that stupid Bitcoin leveraging failure and all the other ones failing their longs and shorts, etc. So that's the only time it came back down to this area in that one day, and then it came back straight away. Now that didn't mean that we're out of the woods. We had the repetitive pattern of coming down, and we have done for some time now. You could argue, let's say this has happened, we had the take up, but you could argue that from September, like many other charts, we've had this downward trend. So what's interesting right now to me? Well, two things. One is we haven't been pulled back down to these areas yet, but secondly is this area that we're floating around literally right now. So this is where we saw big resistance on the way down here around sort of mid to end December, floating around this 6 cent-ish mark, but very much had dipped down to a couple of lower areas here, as we see 5.9, 5.8, and took it back upwards again. So from an investments perspective of my side, like I said, I've been buying Zilliqa on a DCA on the way down the last few days anyway. Could we come back down to here? Absolutely possible, but we need to identify this area first. It's going to be really interesting right now to see if we dip below this properly. And when I mean properly, I mean like this kind of day here. It wasn't massive significance, but 5.2 cents. That's near enough a good cent downwards, and obviously a fantastic opportunity to save yourselves a bit of money. So this is a really critical area that we're in right now. Because over the next couple of days, we could have like a bubble effect very similar to this area. But what I'm thinking right now is, and I'm really keeping an eye on any data that I can see on shorts and longs, not necessarily in Zilliqa, but across the board, especially Bitcoin. We saw one over the last couple of days. It reflected a lot of projects to be pulled down quite significantly to gain some bargains. But with Zilliqa, very interestingly, we didn't have a major response to that. So that's really good, because I think we've got a lot of long-term holders for Zilliqa, and I think we've got a lot of believers as well. So it's really nice to see that, and it seems that not many people are kind of like leveraging with Zilliqa. Okay, so that's kind of a one positive thing at the moment. But I'm still, in my mind, thinking that it's still an unsafe market right now. Okay, no one knows where we're going, when is a bull run coming, this, that, and the other. So we've got to play it safely. That sounds a bit boring, but for me, it's like I've been buying these drops every sort of 0.5 cent, if you like, and particularly on my fib retracement levels, that's what I've been aiming for. So around, as I said, 6.5 back to 6. I've just had a buy order come in literally about 30 minutes ago or so, and I have indeed got one at these lower regions around 0.056, and I am indeed going to put one just above that 5 cent mark again, just in case. But this is going to be kind of like a make or break move for not just Zilliqa, but many other charts out there as well. So like I said, I'm really interested in the next day or two to see if we get resistance at this level, certainly some area of support, and then maybe drag us back up again for a turnaround. Because if we look quickly here, just to make a few more observation and confirmations, we are into an overselling aspect over the last 3 or 4 days, ending the wave of over purchasing areas, and of course the MACD indeed switched over. So that to me would suggest that we're going to maybe hopefully have a nice passive wave here that doesn't drop down significantly. which therefore would mean that we're looking to try and test this current area of 6 cents, but with an anticipation possibly we might come down to the lower regions of 5. That's what I am gearing up for personally. And we look at the RSI here at 35. It's very low end on the 14-day. That 28-day, again, looking around 40. That to me is a very nice price point on a 28-day RSI indicator. If it comes down a bit more, that's where I think we will get the 5 cent mark. So that 28-day could potentially come to like 37, 35. And I would very much love to snap some more Zilliqa up at those prices anyway. Kind of like double my position really of when I was buying them originally, even more so a year or so ago. So they're the things to look out for. And also that 90-day is very important because with a lot of charts you tend to see 3-month movements. That would take us back to September, October, November, December, of course, fluctuating those confirmed moves. So it could be, in my opinion, the area that we might see a bit of a swing around, but the dependency is on, like I said, this area here at 6. Very much hoping that we don't get a full rejection, but if we do, I would imagine we get bounced off and then pull ourselves back again, because it would be absolutely disastrous if we broke through that. We'd probably be coming back down to these kind of like 3.73 cent marks. But I think Zilliqa is in a strong place. I think investments coming back in slowly and surely, albeit we're in a bit of a negative position right now. But I do see very big information coming out in the coming months that will keep this afloat. The weekly is looking terrible at the moment, -20. The monthly is looking stronger though, still maintaining around about 8-10% minus. And that 3-month one needs to be dragged up more so as well. So all in all, really, it doesn't look amazing, but these are opportunities. And if you believe in the project, if you believe in long-term appeal of Zilliqa, I'm not too fussed about this. But obviously from an investment perspective, of course, I understand people want to take profits along the way, etc., and find good areas of buy points. So I do get people's frustrations, but we also need to obviously understand what Zilliqa is, what's coming, and certainly what's coming hopefully in their roadmap very soon, which they should release any moment now. And we can get some positivity out of that, and I'm sure that will be dragging some prices up as well. So like I said, many tips that I can give about Zilliqa. Keep an eye on their social platforms, especially their marketing team, which is very on the ball right now, and particularly around the Metropolis, and also that ZilHive coming up in a couple of weeks time. So we'll review Zilliqa, guys, maybe in a few days time or midweek. Very much so. I'll be keeping an eye on this every day as an investor anyway. But if we start to see real significant pattern here of maybe opportunity for pull down, I will jump on a video straight away to confirm that we will be probably buying some areas down here, even though I've already got a limit order in. But I think it's good to show my moves and show how I'm progressing my portfolio with Zilliqa. But until then, guys, thanks for watching this one. Got loads of videos to get through tonight, so I'm going to try and keep them snappy, although this one was 18 minutes. I tend to pull myself too deep sometimes, but I just love this project, and I hope that this kind of thought process maybe helps you think a bit more out of the box when looking at investments and projects like this. So guys, until the next one, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.